A baby boy. Chinelo said, or rather, shouted. So this Bollywood succeeded in giving birth to a baby boy too. I can see she really came here to test my patience. Azuka clapped her hands together and hissed. No problem. Let her try. We will make sure that you're still the lioness of this house. Don't forget, you gave birth to a son first. First to arrive, first to claim. Their mother nodded. That Indian girl. She's dancing now, but let her dance. The ground will soon humble her. Your son is the first son, and that matters. Don't let this news shake you. Chinelo, stand up and fight like a proper Igbo woman. And just like that, Chinelo's spirit calmed a little. That night, Chinelo's camp began immediate planning for the naming ceremony and child dedication. According to their family tradition, they would hold the massive event 3 months after birth. They had enough time to plan, invite, and dominate. They would do it big. Big enough that nobody would remember the Bollywood baby ever existed. 2 days later, the compound gates opened wide and a silver SUV rolled in. Chief stepped out first, holding a tiny baby boy wrapped in soft blue silk. His face beamed with pride. Then Anaya emerged. She looked like a goddess. Pastel pink sari, gold earrings, and a subtle smile that screamed confidence. Her sister Priya stepped out next, followed by their mother. Neighbors, friends, and curious onlookers gathered around. The arrival of the second baby had become public news, and Chief organized another spontaneous feast to welcome the baby. There was jollof, biryani, wine, zobo, and music. Chief stood with both pride and tension on his shoulders. This is my son, he announced. My second prince. He has arrived. People clapped. They danced. They ate like the compound was hosting a royal reception. Chinelo stood at her bedroom window, arms folded, eyes watching everything like a general surveying enemy territory. This means war, she whispered. The morning after the celebration, Chief sat in the main living room, flanked by his 2 wives and their mothers. Chief cleared his throat. I called this meeting because I want peace in this house, he began. We now have 2 sons. 2 blessings. There's no need for war. I want this house to be a home, not a battlefield. He paused. No one said a word. Chinelo. Anaya, please, for the sake of your children, let there be peace. Chinelo scoffed loudly and leaned forward. Peace? With who? She pointed at Anaya with her chin. That one. You want me to fold my hands and watch her try to overthrow my son? Chief, you know that can never happen. Anaya crossed her legs slowly, smiling without humor. Overthrow. Madam, nobody is fighting for any throne here. But if you want war, I'm not running. Chinelo stood up. Good. Then brace yourself. Because I'm not backing down. I'm fighting for my son, so he won't be cheated in this house. Anaya also stood up. Try anything funny, and you'll get it back to back. Don't think I'm too soft because I'm from India. The room exploded into overlapping voices, mothers trying to calm their daughters. Chief sighed in helpless frustration. Finally, Chinelo hissed and stormed out of the room. This house will not contain the 2 of us. Let her come and try me. I'm not afraid, Anaya said. And the war officially began. Every day brought a new passive-aggressive moment. Chinelo poured out Anaya's water from the electric kettle, mid-boiling, claiming she wanted to bathe her baby first, because he is the first son. Anaya retaliated by emptying all the hot water in Chinelo's flask and hiding all the baby wipes. Another time, Chinelo accused Anaya of stealing her son's toy. Chinelo stormed into the laundry room one morning with a bucket of soaking baby clothes, only to find the washing machine already spinning. Who put these clothes inside my washing machine? I did, because I was here first, Anaya said as she walked in. Come and remove all these your dirty clothes now, or else. Before Anaya could reply, Chinelo opened the machine and began throwing the baby clothes out of the machine. Go to your country and wash them, and leave us alone, Chinelo said. Chief was tired and frustrated. Every day, Chief, tell Anaya to stop putting Indian incense in the corridor. It's affecting my baby. Chief, I caught Anaya using my baby's feeding bottle. Chief, tell Chinelo to stop playing loud Igbo music whenever my baby wants to sleep. Chief, Chinelo deleted my baby's picture from the WhatsApp family group. Chief, Chinelo used my baby's milk again. Chief this. Chief that. He tried to solve it. He tried to beg, bribe, threaten. Nothing worked. At exactly 11 days after the birth, Anaya's baby naming ceremony came. In line with Hindu tradition. She insisted on doing it properly, and Chief, hoping to keep peace, supported it fully. The compound was transformed overnight. Marigold flowers hung from canopies, incense scented the air, and soft Indian music floated through the compound like a lullaby. Anaya wore a royal blue lehenga, her gold bangles chiming with each graceful move. Guests arrived in colorful clothes, both Nigerian and Indian. There was a brief puja, a prayer ceremony, followed by the naming announcement. Anaya's baby was named Arjun Eotunde Nathaniel Adewale. The name was a cultural fusion at its most glamorous. There was dancing, Indian choreography, lots of food and suya. People left with shiny souvenirs and other impressive gifts. Chinelo watched everything with narrowed eyes from upstairs, her lips pressed into a thin line. Don't worry, she whispered to her baby. When we do ours, even the angels will come down that day. 3 months later, it was Chinelo's turn. The entire compound was repainted. A fresh canopy was mounted. Big speakers were brought in. Live Igbo high life music boomed from the backyard. Food and drinks flowed like a river. Chinelo stepped out in head-to-toe white lace wrapper and blouse and a fierce red gelly wrapped like the crown of a warrior queen. Her son was named Obina Ayomide Emmanuel Adewale. Everyone was fed. There was roasted goat, oha soup, fried rice, and a lot of souvenirs and gifts. Anaya attended with forced grace, smiling politely but keeping her distance. The naming ceremonies were over, but the fire had just begun to smolder. The compound, still scented with leftover jollof, held the weight of quiet hostility. Anaya and Chinelo walked past each other like strangers. The smiles from the ceremonies had disappeared, replaced by cold shoulders and side eyes. Even their mothers, who had once been the hype women for war, now sat quietly on verandas, exhausted by the revelry. Chinelo accused Anaya of copying her guest list. Anaya whispered to Priya that Chinelo's suyo stand at the ceremony was fit for village goats. Both babies were dressed like Chief, with coral beads and mini walking sticks. The two wives started competing in baby photo shoots, using the kids to shade each other on WhatsApp status. One morning, Anaya's baby was upset. So she played soft Indian lullabies in the living room to calm him down. Chinelo entered the living room. She paused and frowned. What's this Bollywood nonsense you're playing? It's baby music, Anaya said, not looking up. He sleeps better with it. Well, not in this house, Chinelo snapped. Because my son also wants to relax too. She ejected the USB, plugged in her own speaker, and suddenly Igbo high life music filled the living room like it was a wedding reception. Anaya stood up angrily, as her baby started to cry again. You're very heartless. So we shouldn't even breathe in this house again. Go and breathe in your room. Chinelo shouted. This sitting room is for first wives only. Another Saturday morning, both women were downstairs, babies in hand, ready for their clinic appointments. They both wanted to use the silver SUV, Chief's favorite. I booked this car since last night, Anaya said, adjusting her sorry. For who? Chinelo asked. Have you forgotten that my son is the first son? He has to go to the hospital in a grand style. Please leave this car. You can take the Toyota or the black SUV, Anaya said, opening the door. Chinelo snatched the keys from the driver and hissed. My son has seniority. Don't let me disgrace you here this morning. Anaya's baby started crying. Anaya gritted her teeth. You're so stupid, Chinelo. Look at what you've done now. And you're an imported problem. Deal with it. Chinelo said and entered the car. The driver quietly drove out of the compound. Another day, Chinelo and Anaya both showed up in the living room with their babies at the same time, intending to feed them in the living room. Chinelo sat first. Anaya sat opposite her and turned the fan directly at herself and her baby. Chinelo stood up and unplugged the fan. Cold is not good for my son. Anaya stood up and plugged it back in and increased the speed. It is not good for mine too. Another afternoon, Chinelo hung out her baby's clothes under the sun. Anaya came and moved them slightly to the side to create space for hers. Chinelo removed all of Anaya's clothes and dumped them on a plastic chair nearby. Anaya retaliated by pouring liquid soap all over Chinelo's baby's clothes. At least, it smells better now, she said. One day, Chinelo's baby fell ill. Chief told her to write down everything she had given the baby in the last 48 hours. Chinelo started blaming Anaya for cross-contaminating her baby items. She accused Anaya of touching her baby's pacifier with dirty hands, touching her baby wipes and using her baby towels. The argument escalated until Anaya slapped Chinelo's hand. Chinelo threw baby powder in Anaya's face. And Anaya, out of anger, opened the powder and emptied it on Chinelo's face. Their mothers tried to drag them apart when the fight escalated. Chief walked in, saw the chaos and quietly walked out. That night, Chief did not sleep at home. He switched off his phone and didn't come back home for 3 days. He didn't tell anyone where he went. On the 4th day, Chief came back home. Everyone was relieved to see Chief. Just one more fight or quarrel and I will leave this house for you people and I won't come back again, Chief said. 3 weeks later, it was Chief's 50th birthday. The birthday party started off too well. The sun was gentle. The decorations were elegant. White canopies fluttered, and gold and maroon balloons bounced lightly in the breeze. The whole compound smelled of jollof rice and suya. It was meant to be a small, tasteful celebration. Nothing extravagant. Just close friends, family, and a photographer. Chief wore his best white agbada with gold embroidery. His face was glowing, half from joy, half from relief that, for once, his wives were not at each other's throats. Anaya wore an orange sari with gold trimming. Her makeup was soft, but her confidence was loud. She held her baby boy, Arjun, who had a tiny cap to match Chief's agbada. Chinelo, on the other hand, wore a pink lace with coral beads and angeli that sat like a crown. Her baby wore a senator outfit, pink and white. So far there was peace. No quarrels yet. Then the photographer called for pictures. First, Chief alone. Then another with his brothers. Then, the photographer smiled. Sir, let's have some with your baby boys. Chief, without thinking, reached for Anaya's baby, Arjun, who was nearby. He carried the baby with a proud smile and nodded at Anaya. Come and join us, my dear, he said. She stepped forward without hesitation, her eyes soft with pride. Chinelo stood nearby, watching like a hawk. Her body stiffened. Chief didn't notice. Then, wait. All heads turned. Chinelo was already walking toward them. So this one is your first son now, she asked Chief angrily. Chief blinked. What? No. It's just a picture. Just a picture. You carried her son and you called her to join you. What about my own son? Where is his own picture? Madam, relax, you will still take yours, the photographer began, but Chinelo didn't want to listen. No. I see what is happening. You people want to push my son aside. You think because she's acting like a queen, she can come on. Chinelo, enough. Chief said, trying to stop her. But it was too late. Chinelo turned sharply, grabbed her son from her sister's hands, and stormed forward. Let me show you that I, Chinelo, will not be disrespected in my husband's house. And before anyone could stop her, she pushed Anaya hard. Anaya stumbled and fell sideways, landing roughly beside the gift table, knocking over drinks and chairs. Gasps filled the compound. Chief froze. Anaya got up slowly. She marched back to Chinelo angrily and slapped her clean across the face. Before Chinelo could even react, Anaya pounced on her. She gave Chinelo the beating of her life. She dragged her by the wrapper, slapped her, pulled her earrings and bent her arm. Chinelo was screaming. But Anaya didn't stop until guests physically pulled her off Chinelo. By the time the dust settled, Chinelo's gown was torn at the shoulder, her scarf missing, her makeup messed up and her face swollen and bruised. She was crying, holding her wrist. Blood was trickling from a small cut near her hairline. She was rushed to the clinic. By the time they returned from the hospital, Chief Adewale had disappeared. No note. No call. No trace. It had been 2 full months since Chief disappeared. The mansion felt like a graveyard. Meals were cooked but barely eaten. Then one morning, a black Lexus SUV drove into the compound. It was Chief's lawyer, Barrister Michael. He walked into the sitting room where both wives and their mothers were seated in total silence. He cleared his throat. Good day, everyone. Today I bring news. Sad news. Anaya's eyes widened while Chinelo sat up. Chief Adewale is dead. Everyone froze. Chinelo stood up sharply and turned to Anaya. You caused this. You came into this house with your fake peace and snake seduction and now, look. Chief is dead. If not for you, my husband would still be alive. You were always the problem, Chinelo. Fighting like a local champion every day. You stressed him to death. Anaya fired back. I stressed him. You, with your Indian sorcery and incense, turned him into a confused man. At least I gave him peace. All you gave him was grey hair and migraines. Enough. Barrister Michael banged the table. You're still fighting, again. You two should be very ashamed of yourselves. Chief is dead. And you still don't get it. He died of heartbreak, in a private hospital abroad and left strict instructions. He opened the briefcase again and brought out a typed document. He insisted that his corpse must not be returned to Nigeria. He does not want a public burial. He said he doesn't want tears from fake mourners at his funeral. He will be buried abroad. And he specifically asked that none of his wives should see his body, because they were the cause of his death. Everyone went silent. Then Barrister Michael looked up. Before he died, Chief left one final condition in his will. His wealth, properties, accounts, and assets, nothing will be shared, unless... The wives leaned in, still frozen. Unless the two of you, Chinelo and Anaya, live together for 3 full months in this house, under the same roof, with no fights and insults, and visible proof of love, peace, and unity. Any slightest fight that happens, the entire inheritance, everything, goes to charity. The lawyer closed the file and put it in his briefcase. He turned to leave, but paused at the door. You have 3 months. I returned to check. Then he left. 3 months. With no fighting. In this same house? Impossible. The next morning, they entered the living room quietly and sat in opposite corners. Their mothers joined them. Everyone was in black. Even the children were dressed in dark-colored onesies. The burial date was fixed. No corpse viewing. Only a video call of the sealed casket. And just like that, Chief was gone. Chinelo and Anaya now lived like 2 diplomats in a divided nation. They both entered the kitchen to make breakfast, the morning after Chief's burial. Chinelo cleared her throat. I want to fry plantain and eggs for breakfast. Anaya nodded politely. I already put rice on the fire. Chinelo forced a smile. No problem. I'll wait. 10 minutes passed. The rice was still cooking. Why is this your perfume rice taking so much time? Chinelo asked. It takes time, unlike your plantain that only needs vegetable oil and a bad attitude. Anaya replied. At least my plantain doesn't smell like cheap perfume when it's ready. Anaya sighed. Do you want us to fight already? We've not even finished the first day yet. No. I'm just talking. Nobody is fighting. Or, is talking fighting again. Silence. Then, the sound of a baby crying. Both of them dashed out at once. It was Obina. Chinelo picked him up gently, rocking him while humming a lullaby. Anaya returned, holding a bottle of warm milk. She passed it, without a word, to Chinelo, who fed Obina while Anaya watched them. That was the first moment of peace. The next day, Anaya took Chinelo's baby out in the stroller because Chinelo had a pounding headache. Don't fall my baby down, oh, Chinelo warned. I'll try not to, Anaya replied flatly. By the next week, they both sat in the living room feeding their babies in silence. It wasn't friendship. It was just coexistence. They still didn't like each other's cooking. They still didn't trust each other. But they started learning how to live together, not because they loved each other, but because they respected the value of the prize. And for the first time in months, the house began to feel like a place where children could grow up in peace. Then one evening, Chinelo brought Anaya a bowl of pepper soup. Anaya blinked suspiciously. What's the occasion? No occasion, Chinelo shrugged. I just added scent leaf today. Try it. Anaya sipped it and looked up immediately. This is nice. Thank you, Chinelo said. From that night, everything shifted. They started cooking together in the kitchen, debating over whose seasoning powder had more flavor. Chinelo taught Anaya how to tie geli. Anaya taught Chinelo how to plait a sari. They watched Indian movies together, eating meals together, sharing recipes, skincare secrets, and even baby food. They did the house chores together, shopped together, and even started dressing alike sometimes, one day in flowing ankara, another day in matching saris, another day in full Yoruba outfits. Their mothers were stunned. Priya and Azuka were speechless. One evening, as they were relaxing in the veranda, Anaya sat up with a sudden idea. You know what we should do? What? Chinelo asked. Start a TikTok. Chinelo scoffed. What would two former enemies be posting there? Exactly that, Anaya said, grinning. Real life. Real drama. Chinelo threw her head back and cackled. You're so funny. Will it even go viral? It will, Anaya said. And it did. Within months, the account had 100,000 followers. Their page was full of the story of how they were enemies before. Cooking fusion dishes. Dancing with their babies. Sharing motherhood tips. Posting soft vlogs of their peaceful mornings and shared chores. They smiled through every post, not because of the will or inheritance anymore, but because somehow, this chaotic arrangement had birthed something genuine. It was a sunny Thursday afternoon. Chinelo and Anaya were in the kitchen, frying puff-puff for their TikTok series. Then a knock came at the door. They paused. Their house help sprinted in, breathless. Auntie, it's Barrister Michael. Chinelo and Anaya were surprised. He hadn't shown up for 2 months. Not even a text. Why is he here again? They wiped their hands and stepped outside to the living room. In the living room, Barrister Michael stood in a crisp black suit, holding a slim brown envelope and a tablet in his hand. He looked around. His eyes fell on their matching outfits, the giggling mothers and sisters, the baby photos on the wall. He smiled. I'm impressed, he said softly. Beyond impressed. You both have done what no court could have enforced. They smiled. He cleared his throat. Chief Adewale gave me strict orders to return only if I was convinced that this house had changed, and today, I am. Chinelo and Anaya exhaled at the same time. He looked around again and said, "But I'm not alone here today. I came with the man who made all this possible. Chief Adewale." The mothers gasped. Chinelo's eyes widened. Anaya blinked fast. Chief walked into the living room and smiled. "I greet you all," he said. "Yes, I'm alive. I didn't die. I simply had to go. I did it because I wanted to see if love could grow where only fights and trouble once lived. And today, I'm proud. This house now has peace. My sons will grow together. My wives are no longer rivals, but women of substance, of culture, and of strength." He took a deep breath. "And for that, I am ready to live again." Anaya covered her face and started crying. Chinelo walked forward and hugged him tightly. Then Anaya joined. And that was how Chief finally found peace in his house.